What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source of combat sports. I'm your host, El Postmaster Tomorrow, and today I have a gear review on the rival RFX Guerrero Intelli-Shock bag gloves. Alright folks, as always, I'm incredibly excited to bring you yet another gear review, and this one is long overdue because recently Rival re-released this glove here. This is the Rival RFX Guerrero Intelli-Shock bag glove Cyber Edition. They re-released the colorway, but this is actually the original that I bought almost 5 years ago. Funny enough, I do watch other reviewers on YouTube. I respect their opinion heavily, and they also got me into this stuff. So I watch Carlo with C-Squared. I always recommend you guys go check him out, and Coach Simon with Fit the Box, and he reviewed the Cyber Edition of this glove, and Rival was one of my favorite brands I'd been using since I was a 15-year-old amateur boxer, and I've been using them right up since. So I've had over 10 years of using boxing equipment made by Rival. They're one of my favorite brands, and for me, the undisputed king of bag gloves, and this is my favorite bag glove that they've made, and my favorite bag glove, period. I'd say a close second would be the RB10, but I really enjoy using these gloves, and I don't know why I didn't review them years ago, but I figured now that Rival has re-released this glove in this colorway, perfect time to do so, and also show off the durability of these gloves, because I have used these more than any bag glove I think I've ever used, or any bag mitt that I've ever used. Maybe these and the Cleto Reyes bag mitts are my most used bag gloves, period. I have put thousands of rounds in on these gloves easily. It wouldn't shock me. And if I don't know what glove to use on the bags one day, I easily just go to these and say, I'll just use these. Or if I'm looking for a bag mitt, I usually go to my Reyes ones, unless I'm using something like the Hit and Move 24-ounce gloves to get a really good burn while I work out and stuff. But when it comes to, or workout, train, whatever, people get salty about that, but that's besides the point. Rival for me is one of my favorite brands, and one of the most favorite brands in the entire world, because everything they make is really well made. And on top of that, you can think of all the different world champions that actually use Rival boxing equipment, and I think a lot of that has to do with the genius behind Rival, and that is Russ Amber. I'm a big Russ Amber fan because a lot of people know him as the guy that owns Rival, but he's also a very accomplished cut man, and for me, even more underrated wise, he is a great coach. Actually, my coach used to give us his DVDs to take home, and I would take those home and watch them in my living room, and I would shadow box and stuff, and my dog would watch in amazement as his owner was losing his mind punching the air, which Thurman was a good boy. I miss him. But basically, I used to watch Russ Amber's stuff, and my coach said that he remembered Russ when he was younger, coaching the Canadian national team. That's just how my coach remembers him, and my coach said that he was one of the best coaches you could look at. And so I used to watch Russ Amber, and then he got into combat sports equipment with Ringside Boxing. Then when that relationship soured, he went to title boxing, and then he decided to invest into his own to make good money, because he was barely scraping by selling that equipment. It was just enough basically to buy more equipment to sell, and he bet on himself and created Rival Boxing. And I mean, just to name a few world champions that still use the stuff, between Roy Jones Jr., you can also talk about, of course, still active today, and some of these guys are undisputed or were undisputed, Vasily Lomachenko, Artur Beterbiev, Alexander Usyk. He's been in all of those guys' corners as well as cutmen. He is incredible, and Rival Boxing is very well known. And I mean, every weekend when you see boxing matches, someone's got a pair of Rival gloves on, and these are no exception with that, right? And I've been using Rival for a long time. And in fact, if I were to do a top 10 video of my favorite bag gloves, at least 4 of them would be Rival, and it wouldn't shock me if those 4 were in the top 5. That's just how I feel about it. I have about 7 different pairs of bag gloves by Rival. Some of them I just haven't reviewed. Some reviews just fall to the wayside for whatever reason, but I'm very happy to do this. Now, cool thing about these gloves, before I go into the exact model I have, is that these are actually modern, or they're modeled after the HDEF fight glove by Rival, and that's their foam glove. But the idea is most boxers will train in the glove that they're going to fight in so they can get their hand conditioned to it and their hand will be used to it. They usually use it for bags and pads. The only thing is the foams and stuff inside of fight gloves are not really designed to last a long time. They're just kind of designed to last upwards of usually 20 rounds, I'd say. A few rounds in the back and 12 rounds at most in the ring. That's the idea. And then they even have tags in most boxing gloves that say rounds fought, and it'll check them off, and then once that's done, they can't use them anymore in competition. Definitely not like MMA. I literally, in my first pro fight, used a pair of gloves that just came off some guy's hands 3 or 4 fights before me. So it's definitely a lot different in this in boxing. But this is after the HDEF. They just added the Intelli-Shock system, which is the D30 foams, which we'll talk about more when we get into the design. So if you ever have fought or used the HDEF design and you liked it, you have a bag glove that fits that will last a lot longer. That's the whole preface of the RFX Guerrero Intelli-Shock bag glove here. Well, let's go into the model that I have. And as you can see, we have the Epic Cyber Edition, and it looks awesome. It's my favorite colorway that Rivals released. This and their Hero or Loma version, which was the Ukraine colors of blue and yellow. But this is still probably my favorite of all time, besides that. And I got them in that colorway. You can get them in a couple different colorways and 2 different sizes, and that is 8 ounce and 10 ounce. I don't think they have a 10 ounce XL. They might, maybe if you have larger hands. I imagine Usyk's hands are bigger than mine and stuff like that. But still, 10 ounce fits my hand just fine. And I wear, if it helps you, I wear a size 14 ring, and I have pretty wide palms and fat palms. And I wear usually XL or 2XL fight gloves when I fight in MMA, if that helps you at all. But these are 10 ounce fight glove size, and they fit me perfectly. And again, you can get them in 8 ounce, and they have a couple different colorways. Like they've had paint splash, they've had camo type things before. They've had the superhero comic version is still up there. They have like a cool tan version up there now, and they always come out with different designs. They never really came out with like standard colors like black, like red, blue, green, like they usually come out, like neon green like Rival usually does, or orange. It's just been cool designs, which I mean, I'm not going to complain. But again, for your reference, these are the 10 ounce 10 ounce Cyber Edition. They only come in hook and loop as well. They do have lace up fight gloves, but not in this model, I don't believe. I think, well, they do have HDEF bag gloves, but not in the Intelli-Shock, I don't believe, that are in lace up. But again, your reference, 10 ounce, fits like an XL glove if that helps you. 10 ounce Cyber Edition hook and loop gloves. Going into the look of the glove, it is absolutely epic. Like I said, you have all the really awesome black background with the coating going throughout the entirety of the glove, which is amazing. And then you can see that really nice Rival logo going on in the back, which is green and has Rival here. And unlike most Rival stuff, it's actually not sublimated into the material like the leather or the microfiber. In this case, it's leather. But this is embroidered, and it feels really nice. And a lot of the times gloves will avoid embroidering things on the back because it might scrape your sparring partners, but hey, it's a bag glove, it won't matter. So it feels really smooth to the touch. It's a nice embroidery, and it gives it that really nice classic touch and feel to it. And again, you have all those codes going throughout the bottom leading up to the top, and you got the black background, which gives it that nice, cool, like a fadeaway effect. When we go up to the top of the punch surface, you can see that it says Intelli-Shock there, and you can see we got breathe holes for the D30 foam going throughout there. You can see the orange foam going on the inside there. And if I turn it that way, you can see it says Intelli-Shock. Maybe if I turn it that way, it's right there. And then the rest of it here at the tips of the knuckles has the really cool circuit boards going throughout there. If you ever see like a motherboard, if you ever build computers, it looks just like that, and it looks really, really cool. So I really like how it has that throughout the entirety of the glove until you get to the tips of the fingers, and Rival always does this, but this is embroidered instead of sublimated, just like the back of the glove. And you can see we have the white part of the Rival logo, the rest of it being black. So it is an epic look, and you have more of the circuit boards going throughout there. The thumb attachment is green, and it's your standard size thumb attachment. Now the thumb, you have more of your circuit boards going throughout here. It's a reasonably bigger thumb than some gloves that I've tried, and I like that. I like having room to breathe. And that connects perfectly into the back of the glove again. So it's a really nice pattern design that you got going on there. When we open the glove up, the grip bar says handcrafted with pride, and that's in white, and that's also embroidered, which is great. And you have more of the circuit board going throughout the palm. You have a lot of breathe holes on the palm, again, just kind of let the glove breathe out a little bit, which is awesome. So it's really easy to let the glove air out later on. The inside of the thumb is black. You have thumb piping here, which is black. It has a little bit of a white outline. That could just be the way the light's reflecting. And then you also see the inside here is that solid black color. We go over down here, you can see we got the plastic buckles that hold the Wristlock 2 system in, which I'll talk about that more in a minute. But the Wristlock 2 says it right there, and it has that really cool lock in the center. That's orange. And the straps themselves are black. Same thing for the buckle. When we go over to the back of the glove, it says Rival RFX Guerrero Intelli-Shock Cyber Edition right underneath that, which is really cool. And then you can see this is all embroidered onto the leather as well. And you have black piping for the wrist strap itself. When we open the glove up, you see that it says right there, there's a tag. It says bag glove, 10 ounce. I believe that says 10 ounce. Yes, 10 ounce fit. It was right there. And you can even see where it tells you HDEF right there. I don't know why it sounded that way. HDEF right there. And you also have your D30 orange tag down there to add to it. And you can even write your name there. It says name there. I never wrote it in for some reason. Then finally, at the very back, underneath the black Velcro, you can see it says bag glove, which is embroidered in white. And you have more of those really awesome codes, which is like more condensed, which for me is awesome because I always try to find simplets and everything. So it feels like it's here, and then it's just kind of slowly coming up and fading away, kind of like it's loading perfectly. It almost looks like a sound grid. Then when we open up the glove, it is a nice black lining, as you can see, and there's the tag in there basically saying boxing is dangerous, please be careful. And I love saying that's the tag. We're going to the actual build of the glove though. Unlike a lot of modern Rival gloves that use a high quality microfiber composite, this is a genuine cowhide leather, just like their fight glove is made out of, which is a really nice cowhide leather, and it's actually stitched really tight over top of the padding, which is different from some other gloves, so I can't really pull a whole lot off of it, but it's very, very well made leather. If I had to assume they use the type of tanning process where they use a lot of different, I think they're called chromium salts, which basically keeps it really shined, and it gives it that nice metallic look to it, almost that metallic shine, and it also covers the leather to stop it from getting like elements to it and stuff like that, which is nice. You know, I don't think they use like an oil tanning method. I think it was like those type of salts that they use. I think they're called chromium salts. I could be wrong. I'll have to look into it. But after 5 years, it still smells brand new. The leather is absolutely outstanding on this glove, and you have that throughout the entirety of the glove. It's very soft, supple leather. It wouldn't matter if you were going to hit anyone with it. I promise you, you don't want to punch someone with this. It is a bag glove. Don't punch anyone with it. But when it comes to this, the palms and the whole area on the front of the glove, very soft leather on the back of the glove here, the wrist strap, and you can even see throughout the designs all the natural grain marks. You can see it perfectly on the wrist strap, all the natural grain marks going throughout the leather. You got that at the tips. You can see past the designs and the grids, and you can see it, and the camera actually shows it really well, all the natural grain marks. So very nice top grain, or full grain, I would say, cowhide leather, because you can see some of the natural imperfections of the hide. It might have to be top grain in some ways because you need to get rid of the imperfections to put the perfect design on the back, but regardless, high quality leather. Going into the padding, it's just like the HDEF. It's the basic foam fight glove that you have, but it has that huge piece of D30 on the back. And I always joke with people about D3O where they're like, well, what's that? And I always get them with this. I said, oh, it's actually a material from outer space that we harvested from a meteorite. And they're like, what? Really? I said, no, it's man-made. The idea about it is the harder you hit it, the firmer it gets. And there's actually videos of people like putting it over nice like wine glasses, taking like a hammer thing to it and banging on top of it, and the wine glass is fine. A lot of people use it in boots and different protective equipment with like sports like hockey and football nowadays. And also they use it for bikers because when you fall and D3Os in your vest, it actually keeps you very safe. And there's a high study on this material. And it's crazy when you see it in its raw state. It's literally putty, and when you kind of move it, it just molds to your hand. But if you pull apart hard, it rips immediately. If you hit the foam and you drop a ball on it from a high distance, it just stops dead in its tracks. So it literally kills impact once it touches anything, which is pretty crazy, so long as you hit it pretty hard. So no joke, the firmer, and you can even see it live in action. If I push in here, you can see it's pushing in pretty easily. Now I'm doing it really hard, and it doesn't push in as much. Isn't that crazy? So I push in a little bit, see how it's creasing in? Not as much. Just this middle finger here. Pushing in lightly. Hard. Not as much. It's a tiny difference, but I feel it on the back of my finger. It feels like it gets hard like a brick, which is crazy. So again, why you don't want to punch people with this, that D3O might actually hurt someone pretty bad. The rest of it is just your standard, it's a type of multi-layered foam, high density. I imagine a closed cell, not closed cell, an open cell foam that you had to kind of protect your knuckles, not so much protect your opponent, of course. Going at the back of the glove, you have more of those foams at the back here, which broke in very easily, and they're very soft in the back, but there's still one solid piece, which is awesome. So it gives you great knuckle support. And on top of it, that thumb has more of that foam there, and it's a very comfortable thumb, very flexible, and actually a pretty, I guess you could say the word squishy thumb, because you can kind of move it a lot, and I like that I'm able to get that natural grip. And on top of it, it has a really nice natural fist position. It opens up really well because of how loose the glove is made, like a fight glove, but you're able to get a really nice natural balled fist on the inside of this glove. When you talk about the grip bar here, it's a very soft grip bar, and you can't really feel the embroidery when you're gripping down, which is fine. Most of the glove is supported with double line stitching throughout the entirety of the glove, and also the thumb piping is very loose around the thumb. That way it's not pinching the inside of your hand, which can be really annoying sometimes, but in this case it helps out a lot. But when we get down to the palm, there's no padding, of course, in the palms. It's a fight glove. Usually fight gloves don't have padding in the palm, but it does have a really nice feel to it, and it opens up easily so you can strap it up tight, especially when you have that Wristlock 2 system. Now, as you can see with the Wristlock 2 system, when we open the strap up, it has that 15 degree angled curve. You know, I almost said 45, but I think that's 15 is what it says online. It's 15 when it goes up that way. I think 45 would be like literally almost halfway around. But you can see what the system does is it pulls the glove in. It still goes around one way, but it pulls the glove in on the other side with 2 buckle straps. So this is literally attached to the inside of the thumb. So it pulls the thumb in to give you that nice natural fist position. And on top of it, this other strap pulls this part of the glove in. So it kind of gives you the closest thing to like a lace-up feel that you can get. The interior lining is more of your nylon lining on the back of it, although it does have more of that soft foamy texture when you get to like the outside part, like where the inside of the palm is. That feels more like your foam. The rest of it feels like the nylon lining, which feels really comfortable. And it's very soft and plush on the inside. It fits perfectly, which I love about the glove. That's why it's one of the most comfortable fits I've ever had in a pair of boxing gloves. And it feels like you can feel the foam pocket right on the back of your hand. So people will ask me with a D3O foam, do you feel it hurting your knuckles after a while? In this glove, no. And I think it's because you have this soft foam that's actually like padding your knuckles on the inside of the glove, while the D3O does the job of getting shock away from you before it even gets there. When you strap the glove up, because of that Wristlock 2 system, it is some of the best wrist support I've ever had. And on top of it, even without hand wraps on, I'm pulling really hard. It is on. It's not coming off, right? And it's great. The other thing I love about this is that if I ever do bags or pads with my teammates and stuff, I can get great grips if I'm doing like clinch work, because it opens and closes very well. And if you like to parry and catch, so maybe you like to do like your Philly shell stuff, maybe you catch and roll, or maybe you like to parry, catch over, you know, catch and roll over. Maybe you like to post, pivot, and you know, handle people, whatever. I call them handles when you like grab them and move them and then, you know, post them like that way. But overall, very, very nice fit and feel when it comes to this glove. And overall, very protective. I can feel like the outlines of my knuckles when I push in softly, because it's a smaller glove, but that's where you feel that D3O harden and stiffen up like that. So it's a really nice feel. But let's go ahead and get into the bag work and see this glove shine, and then we'll come back with my final thoughts. These gloves, just like the design is intended, have that true fight glove feel for a 10-ounce glove. And I think people will actually be surprised if you've never used a boxing fight glove as to how small they are compared to your sparring or training gloves. But one thing that I love about these is they still have a nice feedback. I still feel a good solid impact as far as like recoil and stuff off the bag, which is great. It gives you a nice puncher's feel. Plus, they're very light on the hand, obviously, because they're only 10 ounces. But that D3O padding over the knuckles makes a world of difference if you have brittle hands. And that Wristlock 2 system that they use is absolutely amazing. I feel no damage on my knuckles, my wrist, back of the hands. And in this video, I'm not wearing hand wraps either. Overall, one of the best gloves, if not the best bag glove I've ever used. I can punch the bag for days and days with these gloves and never get sick of them. They are some of the best gloves I've ever used, period. And I think you're really going to enjoy letting your hands fly. So obviously with Rival, they always win when it comes to the design. They have some of the coolest designs that you can find, and that cyber design is definitely unique compared to any other glove that's out there on the market. You can see the nice money green texture with all the chipboards going throughout. It looks like a motherboard that you're able to punch with. It is an absolutely amazing design, and I think anyone that's into like cybernetics or technology and stuff like that would really love to use these gloves because they look absolutely incredible. All right, folks, so my final verdict for the Cyber Edition of the Rival RFX Guerrero Intelli-Shock bag gloves are, I kind of said it at the beginning, they're my favorite bag glove I've ever used, so their rating is probably going to be fairly obvious. But I'm going to still talk about all the positives and some of the things that maybe you might not like when it comes to these gloves, because I need to let you know if these would be good for you. I personally think they would be good for a lot of people. I've had some teammates use these a couple of rounds on the bags, and then they're like, whoa, this is life-changing, and I agree. But in general, I want to give you every bit that I can. So when it comes to the positives of the glove, for one, because of that D3O padding, it is outstanding knuckle protection, and I love the Wristlock 2 system because I've never once had my wrist jar back or come back at all. It stays in a perfect locked position, and there's plenty of room on the inside for me to wrap my hands up like a professional fight glove as well, and I can protect my hands even more. I personally don't use hand wraps that often, and if I use these, I really don't use hand wraps at all with these anymore, and they still do the job. And when I tell you, when I do these reviews, I try and break my hand and wrist as hard as I can when I hit the bags. You know, I mean it. That way I can tell you how durable they're going to be. I've never once had knuckle pain in this glove. My fingers have never got tired punching in these gloves. I've never had to squeeze overly hard. I've never had to work hard to open it. It fits perfectly to the back of your hand, and I guess to use a very stupid analogy at this point in time, but it fits like a glove. It fits like an extension of your hand, not like a piece of leather and foam just sitting on top of your hand, which is awesome. It's very protective between the foams on the inside, and the other part that really helps, I feel, is the soft foamy texture that you have over top of your knuckles themselves with that high density foam that you have on the inside of the glove. And then I do really believe that the D3O being on top of the glove makes a world of difference, and it's actually less, I feel it more. I felt the D3O in like the Rival RB10 after using the bag for a while. You can definitely feel like those big pieces of the D3O that goes like from here all the way down. When you punch after a while, you can feel it get a little bit hard on your knuckles, and these gloves not so much. I think it's because it's such a small, like a millimeter or a couple millimeters thick of that D3O throughout that part, and it's just enough to give enough give into the glove. And I would say it has more of like that puncher's feel, but it gives you that awesome protective quality. And on top of it, they have a really nice 10-ounce fight glove fit if that's what you're looking for, especially when you're getting into professional boxing and stuff. And in MMA, I think this would be a good idea if you're looking for you know, a good bag glove specifically, or for pads and you don't want to use a big 16-ounce glove, because at the end of the day, the 16-ounce gloves are there, you know, for a workout as well and for safety. These are meant more so you can get your drills in, you can get your bag work in without any interruptions. Although I do recommend, if you're using something light like this, switch to a heavier glove just for shoulder endurance, and thank me later. I'll word it that way. That's pretty common practice, but if you don't do that, thank me later. But with this glove, it's very well balanced right down the middle. If I'm here, if I'm here, you can see it's very well balanced right through here. I'd say maybe the weight goes a little bit more towards the top, but not by much. Right in the middle of the glove, still very well balanced. It's very, very easy to put it on and off as well. And when you punch, it doesn't drape down or come up. It comes right back very easily, which is always good. The thumb position's awesome. It's a very comfortable thumb. It's a very flexible glove. If you want to work like handles and stuff on the bag, or catches and parries, which you should be doing on the bag, work defense as well. It's the same thing you would do in a fight. I would recommend doing that with these gloves. And I love that Wristlock 2 system. It holds everything in place, pulls your thumb into a nice natural position, and it also pulls the other side of the glove in, so you don't really have to worry about the bottom parts, like the fins flying out like some other gloves do. It fits very, very well on the glove, and you also have plenty of room for ventilation. On top of it, although it is leather and you do need to take care of leather a little bit more, they're durable. I always say this about most rival gloves: you can drop a nuke on it and still go for a 10-round session right afterwards, and they still be fine. And in this case, no exception here. These are very durable gloves, and I've absolutely loved using them because of that. I've had them for 4.5, 5 years. I have used these more than any other bag glove over those last period of time, and they look and feel brand new to me still. They don't feel worn out inside. They don't look beat up on the outside. They are a very well-made glove, and that's the same thing with almost all the rival gloves I have. They last a long time, so the shelf life is perfect. As far as drawbacks go, if you really don't like the D3O idea, they have the bag glove version of these without the D3O. Some people like the D3O, some people don't, because again, they think it might be too hard on their knuckles, which I've seen that complaint, but for me, it's just never happened in these gloves. I've never once had the complaint that the padding feels really hard or anything like that. It feels fine to me, and if anything, I feel more of that soft foam on the back, and if you need to, you can just put a pair of hand wraps on with the knuckle guard, and honestly, you wouldn't feel it that much anyway. But besides that, the drawbacks of the glove, I guess, you know, they fit like a fight glove. If that's not what you're looking for, if you're looking for a bigger rounded glove, probably should look for a different one, because it's still a pretty flat glove and it is a pro fight glove, so it's going to be really small. They look like a pair of oven mitts kind of compared to some other big gloves out there, but in this case, I think if you're looking for a fight glove fit and feel, this is the best glove for you. Other than that, I don't really see many drawbacks, if I'm honest. Maybe if you don't like leather products and you want a microfiber glove, they have tons of microfiber bag gloves that are on Rival Boxing, and you go look at those, and they're just as good. But in this case, this is my favorite, and the leather is very well made anyway, so they're easy to maintain. They air out very quickly from the amount of breathe holes that you have throughout the glove too. Just don't keep them in your bag overnight. Take them out, let them air out, and that's about that. But if you don't like the maintenance of leather, maybe look at a different glove by Rival, and that would be my recommendation. But other than that, I really don't have a whole lot of drawbacks on these. They protect your hands very well. I say if you have brittle hands, because of the D3O, it would do well. If you don't like the hard material, maybe get a bigger, more rounded bag glove that Rival has or somewhere else, and that would really be it. So if you don't like smaller gloves and you don't like the flatter curve and you think your knuckles are really that brittle, maybe look for a different one. But there are several options on Rival that will help you out with that, and I think the D3O would actually help with your situation. So with that said, Al, what would your rating be for these gloves? I said they were my favorite I've ever used, but I did tell you about who I think they would work for and who they wouldn't work for. With that said, I'm still going to give these a solid 10 out of 10 in the S tier of excellent bag glove. And also, I didn't mention it a second ago, but the price point for these compared to a lot of other bag gloves might seem out of this world, but $209 actually is very good if you're at a professional level and you want to invest into your hands. And if you're one of the guys that like go to the YMCA once or twice a week and you just want to hit the bags for like a round or two just for a fun workout, probably not for you, you know what I mean? Because unless you really want something that's going to last you forever and you never have to buy another pair again, you know, just get something basic off Amazon, you know, or go to Dick's if you're just going to do stuff like that. But if you're serious about your training and you're in front of a bag like you should be as an amateur, professional boxer, Muay Thai fighter, kickboxer, MMA fighter, I do recommend these gloves because they will save your hands. They will keep your hands strong. They'll keep your hands healthy. And trust me, you want healthy hands when you're getting into the sport. Overall, very protective, very comfortable gloves, and they are worth every penny. And on top of it, if you need to, Rival has payment options. You can do like pay in 4 or pay monthly through Affirm and stuff like that, I believe, or Shop Pay. I think PayPal is an option there too. And now PayPal has a 12-month thing if you want to go that route, or 6 months or monthly. I always do pay in 4 because it's really easy. You basically pay 4 installments of $50 and you're ready to go, and you have a really good solid pair of gloves. I think the standard version, like the comic book version I saw, they go for like $199, so either way $200, and for Rival that's right there with it. But you're getting a very well made piece of professional equipment that world champions use for good reason. So that's why I give them such a high rating. Like I said, the only people I'd say it may not work for, if you have brittle hands and you really think that the D3O would bother your knuckles, get a glove that doesn't use D3O, or get a glove that's a bit bigger and more rounded. But that's really up to personal preference. For me, they work just great. So with that said, I hope I have answered all your questions when it comes to these gloves. And if I haven't, please comment below and let me know what you want me to see, what you want to see. Is that how I would word it? I zone out sometimes. What you want me to review next. That's what I'm trying to say, everybody. That way I can either get a hold of them or I can start working on that review a little bit quicker. Sometimes I need you guys to kick me in the butt so I can move a little faster on these things. Also, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for reviews just like these. And share this with your friends if they're looking for a new pair of bag gloves, or send them my whole channel so they can look through all my different videos. Also, if I don't have a review on my channel, odds are I know something about the glove and I just haven't reviewed it yet, or I will send you in the right direction of who will know about it. And also follow me on all my social media pages, and feel free to reach out anytime. I always appreciate talking to you guys. I'm trying to reach back out as fast as I can. Sometimes I can't keep up with things and notifications don't always pull through, but I've been pretty good at it lately. But with that said, thank you so much for watching this episode. I so appreciate you tuning in to check out your source for combat sports, the Combat Corporation. I've been your host, Al the Postmaster Tomorrow, and as always, I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day, everybody.